So this is the last section we're going to cover in Chapter 2 or Unit 2, and it has to do with the empirical rule or standard deviations and how spread out data is. And we're going to do one of these examples by hand, and then I'm going to show you how to use your calculator to get this information, and then we'll do the second one just in the calculator. All right, it says here, so in Lesson 2.1 we found the mean of the exam scores shown in this table. Remember finding the mean for exam 2? We never really did much with exam 1 on the videos here, but we've seen this data before. Find the standard deviation for these scores using whatever method you prefer, and then describe what that means. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at exam 1, and we're going to find the standard deviation, and we're going to do it by hand. Now, the steps for finding the standard deviation are found on page 245 for the steps for a standard deviation. So the first thing we need to do is find the mean. So this is going to be for exam 1. I'm going to do this by hand. Step 1. Find the mean. So the way we find the mean is add all the values and divide by the number of exam scores that we have. So in our calculators, we're going to do 80 plus 77 plus 68 plus 81 plus 96 plus 54 plus 75 plus 81 plus 71 plus 89 plus 56 plus 81 plus 92. We're going to add all of those up and then divide by 13. I'll actually write it out for you here. So we're going to do 80 plus 77 plus 68 plus 81 plus 96. This is for exam 1. Plus 54 plus 75 plus 81 plus 71 plus 89. And then there was a 56 and an 81 and a 92. And when you add all those together, you get 1001. And we're going to divide by the number of test scores that we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So the mean of this data is 77. That's your average or your mean. That's your first step. Second step. Subtract the mean from every data value. Okay, so that means 80 minus 77 is 3. 77 minus 77 is 0. 68 minus 77 is negative 9. 81 minus 77 is 4. 96 minus 77 is 19. You're getting the idea. So then we have negative 23, negative 2, that's from the 75, 4, negative 6, 12, negative 21, 4, and 15. I'm kind of going fast here, but 92 minus 77 is 15. 81 minus 77 is 4. 56 minus 77 is negative 21. 56 minus 77. 56 minus 70, yep, is negative 21. All right, so that's the second step. Subtract the mean from each of the datas set. Step 3. Square, raised to the second power, each difference. Difference was the subtraction we did. 3 squared, 0 squared, negative 9 squared, 4 squared, 19 squared, negative 23 squared, negative 2 squared, 4 squared, negative 6 squared, 12 squared, negative 21 squared, 4 squared, and 15 squared. So 3 squared is 9. 0 squared is 0. Negative 9 squared is positive 81. These are all going to be positive numbers. 4 squared is 16. 19 squared is 361. Negative 23 squared is 529. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Negative 6 times negative 6 is 36. 12 times 12 is 144. Negative 2. Oh, that's a negative 2, not a negative 21. Negative 2. Negative 2 is a 4. Four times 4 is 16, and 15 times 15 is 225. 56 minus 77, that is a negative 21. Negative 21 squared is 441. There we go. You can see why we're going to let the calculator do all this, right? So now we want to find the mean of all the squares, which means we're going to add up all these numbers and divide by 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right, so we're going to add up all those numbers. I've done this on the calculator already, and we get 1,878 to find, oh, let me write the step down. Find the mean of the squares. 1,878 divided by 13. That's 144.46. Last step. Find the square root of that mean. So the square root of 144.46 is very close to 12. So this means that our standard deviation for test 1 is 12. Our mean is 77, and one standard deviation above would add 12, one standard deviation below we would subtract 12 from the 77. So before we go on, I want to show you how we can get all of this information from the calculator. Because as you can see, this is not something that you want to do by hand all the time, but those are the steps. Okay, so we're going to use our calculator. Let me get it situated here so you can see it better without that light. Hold on. Okay, so that light is not showing glare, but I'm going to try to, nope, this backlit is not that great. There we go. All right, I think that will work better. I'm going to clear everything out. All right, so we're looking at the data from exam 1. So that's this list right here. That's these grades right here. So in our calculator, we're going to put them into a list named List 1. So on using my Stat button, S-T-A-T, this is going to be a statistics operation. I hit the statistics button and I want to edit List 1. You see L1? Right now there's no data in it. I'm going to edit List 1. I'm going to put all of these values into List 1. It's going to be an 80 and press enter, 77 and press enter, 68, 81, 96, 54, 75, 81, 71, 89, 56, 81, and 92. So now in L1, that holds the exact same list that's in this column right here. So I hit my statistics button, my stat button again, and it's a calculation. We're going to cursor over, use this right arrow key, cursor over, and we're going to do one variable statistics. So I'm just going to press enter. Number 1, single variable statistics. It's going to say, what list do you want to use? By default, it should be list 1. Don't answer a question about frequency and press calculate. And notice what the display screen says. This X bar, that's your mean, came up with 77. See this second item, the sigma, which stands for sum. The sum of all the x's was 1001. That's what we found. Okay. See your x here, 12.01. That's our standard deviation. N is the number of items we used, 13. The minimum value was 54. The maximum value was 96. All right, so everything that we needed a mean, and we needed a standard deviation, 12.01 or 12.02, or we just estimated it to 12. So from now on, we're going to use the calculator to to do these kinds of operations. So the question was, find your standard deviation. So for exam 1, the standard deviation was 12, or 12.01 if you want to. I guess if we're going to go to 2 decimal places, we would make it 12.02. All right, so now we're going to do the exact same thing, only we're going to use the calculator to find the standard deviation for exam 2. So I'm going to go to my stat button and I'm going to edit L1, but now I'm going to put test 2's grades in there. 89, 93, 84, 88, 91, 75, 54, 86, 0, 83, 64, another 64, and a 74. So now my L1 has my exam 2 tests in there. I'm going to hit my stat button. and go to Calc, and I'm going to do my single variable statistics using list 1. Go ahead and calculate. And here it tells me the mean is 72.69, which is something we found by hand earlier in the chapter. And here my standard deviation is 23.94. My minimum value was 0 and my maximum value was 93. But the mean is 72.69 and the standard deviation is 23.94 for exam 2. Now what does that mean, standard deviation? That is basically a guide to say how far apart the data values are. So exam 1, the standard deviation was 12, which means that data set, the data were pretty close together, not that far spread out. For exam 2, the standard deviation was 23.94, almost 24, almost double that. That data is spread out much further, has a larger standard deviation.